Hello and welcome to another episode of Pet Pals. I'm Bethany Davidson, the Humane Educator here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. And joining me as our first guest is Marley, and wrangling this big guy is our volunteer and devoted animal wrangler, Tammy. Marley is one of the pits that we have on our adoption floor right now. He's about 4 years old. He's got that beautiful gray and white color to him. And as you can see, he is a bundle of energy. He was brought to us because, he was surrendered, but they didn't tell us why. And now he's here, and he's hoping to find a second chance at a forever home. We have learned a lot about Marley since he's been with us, because we behavior assess all of our animals, especially our dogs, before they go on the adoption floor. So one of the most important things to understand about Marley is that he is very sweet, he's very playful, he does know some basics like sit and things like that, but when it comes to his food, he really likes his food. So while he's not aggressive, he's just possessive, we want to make sure that everyone knows that once you put a bowl of food down for Marley, you are not going to put your hands in there. So if you have small kids, that's something you really want to think about. We have not said that he can only go to an older children or adult home only. He can go to any home, but you want to make sure that you're teaching and educating your children to know that if Marley's going to be your new family pet, once he's eating, you need to leave him alone until he's finished eating. Timmy's been giving him treats to show that he knows sit and things like that, and he's been taking the treats pretty gently from her. However, he doesn't necessarily recognize where the treat ends and her hand begins. So he's soft, he's not biting hard, but he has been putting his fingers, her fingers in his mouth a little bit. He loves to be petted. As you can see, he loves toys, and he reluctantly gives up those objects when he's asked, so that's not a big issue with object guarding. Most dogs he doesn't care and has no reaction to, but some dogs, if they instigate trouble, then he barks, and he kind of puts up a little bit of a fight as well, because they've initiated a fight. And another thing that you'll notice on the show today is that Marley has a nice little snort. That's one of his quirks. So if you're looking for a strong dog that's going to be able to do lots of outdoor activities, whether it's going for runs and hikes and those types of things, then Marley might be a good fit for you. If you are interested in taking him home, the first thing that you want to do is stop by and visit him. And to do that, you need to stop by the shelter, which is located at 1832 Rosemont Avenue. While Marley will make a good dog for you if you're very active and you want to be outside and you want to go running and hiking and all those types of things, Ruffles will be a better dog for you if you have a more quiet lifestyle. Ruffles is a Chihuahua, and she is one of our senior dogs. She's about 10 years old, and she's also one of our special needs dogs. So when you're looking at their medical, Ruffles has quite an extensive one. She does have some issues with her legs. So her back legs are extremely bow-legged, and she has a grade 4 out of 4 luxating patellas. So she is going to be probably not an inexpensive pet. She's going to need more vet care than your typical dog. So we want to make sure anybody who's interested in taking her home and making them part of her family understands those things, that it's going to be more costly than maybe taking some of the other dogs on the adoption floor home. That being said, she's a very sweet dog, and she just really wants a lap to sit on. She was previously owned by an older woman who unfortunately had to be placed in a nursing home. So there was no place, no one that could take her dog, Ruffles, so Ruffles made her way here. And what she's doing right now is exactly what she wants to do. She wants to sit on a lap and be cuddled and given lots of love and attention. We have many staff members, and they kind of bring her in and they put her on their desk, and she just sits on their lap and on their desk while they work. So she's very content doing what she's doing right now. That being said, she does walk around, she trots around, she doesn't act like it's too painful, she can walk on a leash. That being said as well, she is a little bit of a shy dog, so she kind of lags behind a bit. She needs a little bit of coaxing sometimes, just until she gets comfortable with people, and then she's more into spending time with them. As you can see, she's wearing a little sweater. That's for a couple of reasons. Chihuahuas are smaller and they often get cold, so when it's cold weather, it's really important that they have some type of covering on them. Also, she has a flea allergy, so some of her fur, she was having issues with that. She was getting medicated baths to help resolve that. She was recently spayed as well, so that covers up her incision a little bit. If you are interested in making this sweet little girl part of your family and giving her, all that she needs for the remainder of her life, at 10 years old, Chihuahuas can live, up to be about 20 years old. So she has not necessarily a short life. She still has a long life ahead of her. But the first step is always coming in and meeting with her and seeing if she's going to be a good fit for your family. We are open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. Our next guest is Stitch, and he is a Min Pin. He's got the traditional black and tan color. He's about 4 years old. And Stitch made his way to the shelter in the beginning of January, and he was brought because the owner said they couldn't take care of him. They only had him for a week. So this is a good time to talk about when you're adopting an animal, you want to make sure that you're really prepared for the commitment that it is. Sometimes things in our lives change, but before you, go in and pick out an animal and go through all of the process of adopting, you want to make sure that you're going to be able to, provide the care for them. You have time for them, that you have the financial resources to give them all that they need as far as any type of veterinary care. You really need to think about the decision because it is a lifetime commitment. Small dogs can live longer than larger dogs, as we were talking about with Ruffles. A small dog like her can live anywhere from the 10 to 20 year mark. Then you get the bigger dogs like the Great Danes, who if they make it to 10, then they're like an elderly dog. So you just want to make sure that you're prepared for the length of time that it's going to take to properly care for a dog, and giving it a week isn't a proper adjustment time for them either. So if there's behavior issues that you're seeing that you aren't necessarily a fan of, a week's time is not time for an animal to acclimate and get used to living in your home and start to show you their true personality. We always request that new adopters give their animals 60 days before making any decisions about whether or not to keep them in their homes. However, depending on the personality of an animal, especially for shy animals, it could take even up to a year for them to truly feel comfortable in their new space. So adopting an animal not only requires just a lot of time, but it requires a lot of patience. Stitch does have a very nice behavior assessment. So if you're looking for a smaller dog, he would be kind of a good option for you. We don't have any restrictions on what type of family he could be adopted to. He seems to keep his kennel pretty clean. He's very friendly. He has favorable reactions to other dogs. He's easy to obtain. He's easy to walk. He doesn't have any issues with food aggression or guarding. He's pretty neutral when you're petting him. He's not like super in love with it like some of the other animals like Ruffles, but he's happy to be petted. No issues handling his feet or his mouth. So he's going to be an overall great dog for someone. But you just have to give him the time in your home to show you how great he really is. Our last canine guest is Titan, and he's one of our longer residents. He's been with us for about 70 days now, which is a long time for a dog. Most of our dogs are in and back out into new loving homes in about a month's time, but Titan has been with us for a little bit longer. He doesn't necessarily show really well in his kennel because he's got a high energy level, as a lot of our pit bull mixes do, and he's bored. He's a very intelligent dog, and he learns things pretty quickly. We were playing with the ball got stuck. He figured out how to get it out and was back to playing with it. He's very teachable. He knows a lot of commands. As you can see, he does a nice sit. But in his kennel, he's just so excited when he sees people. So if you're interested in Titan and you've seen him online and all of the things that he's done, but you're not sure how you feel about him based on his kennel behavior, you want to take him out. He's been out with us for about 5 to 10 minutes now, and when he first came out, he was doing a lot of running around, pulling a little bit, sniffing everything. But then he got used to it. He got his wiggles out, and he settled right in, and he sat down, and he's sitting, doing paw, giving kisses. So it just takes a little bit of time for them to get comfortable. Titan is one of the dogs that our volunteers have been spending a lot of time with, so he has lots of behavior reports, not only in his file, which will help adopters figure out if he's going to be the right dog for them, but he also has a lot of comments on his Facebook profile picture. So you can learn a lot about him before you even come into the shelter if you're checking out our Facebook page. Titan does have a high energy level, and he was brought to us because his previous owners had a new baby in the house, and they were unable to give him the attention that he really needed, and they said that he was a little too rough with the baby. So because of his energy level, we've kind of suggested that he go to a home where there are older kids, teenagers, and adults, just because we don't want to put him back in a situation where he's going to be in a home with small kids and, you know, playing maybe too rough with them. Not that he's trying to be aggressive. He's just a very playful guy. If you wanted to meet him, again, stop in and visit here at the shelter, 1832 Rosemont Avenue. That's going to wrap it up for this portion of the show. After the break, we're going to introduce you to a few of the cats that we still have that are looking for their forever homes here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center.
Child abuse is not an isolated problem. It affects each of us, and it is only through each of us that child abuse can be prevented. Get involved. Call the Child Advocacy Center to find out how to help. 301-600-1758.
Welcome back. Now we're going to showcase some of our felines. In November and December, we had a huge animal population when it came to our cats. We had so many to choose from. Now we're back down to kind of our normal winter numbers, and there aren't as many to choose from. And a lot of them on the adoption floor are actually already scheduled to be adopted. So in the handful that we have left, we're going to show some of them to you. Lilo is one of the first ones up, and she's one of our orange color-coded cats, which we kind of call individually average. You know, she kind of does what she wants when she wants to do it, which is typical of a cat. But most of the cats that are still available are going to be kind of our shyer cats, and we'll introduce you to some of those as well. Lilo came to us as a stray, so we don't know a ton about her. We're just kind of figuring it out as we go along. But she's been very mellow as far as we've seen. She came right out. She was easy to get in her carrier. She came out pretty easily. She sat on a lap and hasn't really been trying to get away. She's been interested in some toys, but she's just perfectly content right now. A lot of people will notice that she does have a little mark on her nose. If you look on her Facebook picture, it actually looks like a heart. Depending on you have to catch it at just the right angle though for it to look like a little heart. And that's currently, in her vet notes, it says it's just a little scab. So sometimes the animals rub their noses on things, you know, whether it's their cage in the shelter or something else when they're out running at large. And that just developed a little scab from where she rubbed the fur off of her nose. So that might not always be there. Once it heals, that might be something that goes away. But it's a cute little interesting feature about her right now. She is very sweet. We do have a lot of brown tabbies, so it's hard for them to kind of stand out right now. And you'll see several of our brown tabbies on the show today. But it's important to visit with them, even if you're not petting them, just hanging out kind of in front of their cage for a minute and see what they're all about, because they all do have very different personalities. We say individually average, but they all are true individuals, and all of the cats that you see on the adoption floor today, or on the show today, or at the adoption floor at any time, are going to have very different things. Lilo's not been with us as long as some of the other ones, so we're still learning the things that she likes and doesn't like. And so it might be more onto you to figure out what she likes, whereas some of the other animals like Ichabod and Gwen, who have been here over 100 days, we kind of know what their quirks are and can provide you with a little bit more information. But again, as you can see, Lilo is very content sitting on a lap. She's loving all of the attention that she's getting, and she's gonna do this in a home environment as well. She's gonna make a great pet for anyone. If you think Lilo is going to be a good fit for your home, again, you can stop in and visit with her. We are open Monday through Saturday, and the adoption fee for all of our cats and kittens that are under the age of 5 is going to be $97.50. If you're a frequent visitor to the shelter, then you've probably noticed by now that when you look at each of the animals' cages, they have cards with their information on them. And on those cards are colors. So typically they have in the past always been blue, green, or orange. We color code the animals based on their behavior and temperament to help adopters find a cat that's more suited to their lifestyle. And it also helps our volunteers know which animals they're allowed to handle and things like that. Recently, we have expanded our color coding system. So in addition to the green, orange, and blue, we now have yellow and purple. So the yellow and purples kind of come from that green set. Green used to encompass a lot of things, and now green is more like the very active, go, 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 lots of energy. Where before it was not only that, but it was also the shy animals, animals that maybe needed some more training for some behavioral issues. Now we have separate colors for those things. So purple is going to be our animals that require more training because they have some behavioral things going on. And yellow is going to be for our shy animals. They're going to require more time, more patience, more understanding. And Simba is one of those yellow color-coded animals on the adoption floor right now. We have a lot of those guys left. As I mentioned, our population has kind of decreased, and sometimes our shy animals get overlooked because they're not reaching out and grabbing adopters and pulling them in. But as you can see, Simba is a very sweet guy, and his life has not always been very easy. Even though he's in the shelter right now, he's probably living better than he ever had before. In his history, he does have a history of being kind of abused and neglected, so that kind of makes him a little head shy, a little shy and nervous around people and new things. But he wants so badly to be loved. As you can see, he's very accepting of all of the attention, the gentle kindness that Tammy is giving him, and that's what he's going to need for the rest of his life. But when you're taking him home, it's important to really understand that he's going to another strange place, so he's likely going to be hiding underneath things in your home. Right now he hides behind his bed a lot here in the shelter, making him even hard to see that there's an animal in that cage. We always recommend that when you take an animal home, you keep them isolated in one room for a 10-day period to help them adjust, give them less space so it's less overwhelming for them. So if you have kind of the quiet, patient home that Simba needs to build up his confidence and truly understand what it's like to be loved, you can stop in and visit with him. His adoption fee would, again, be $97.50, and because he's already neutered, it would hopefully be a relatively quick turnaround for this handsome little guy. So we introduced you to a couple of cats that are new to the adoption floor, and now we're going to remind you of some cats that have been with us for a little bit longer. Taz is one of our longest residents. Like right now we're saying she's been around 45, 50 days, but she's actually, if we're being truthful, been here a little bit longer than that. She was adopted out, and she was adopted for a day, and then she was returned. So she's been with us longer than most if you're not counting that kind of one-day break that she had. Taz originally came to the shelter with 3 other cats, so she is used to living with other animals. When you walk by her cage, she's very confident in her cage. She's been living in the shelter for a while, and she feels safe there. She's very open to visitors. She's lays in her bed. She doesn't hide. But truthfully, Taz is a very shy cat. As you can see right now, she's very nervous. She's in a new place she's not familiar with. She's kind of trying to hide. She's trying to get down. She's trying to find a safe place. So this is how her behavior is going to be when you take her to her new home if you adopt her. And that's actually one of the reasons that her previous adopter brought her back after that one-day period. We talked earlier with Simba about how we suggest that you keep the animals isolated for that 10-day period. Taz, when she was adopted, did not get that. She was just let roaming free in the house, and as we would expect, she was very shy and she tried to find a place to hide. She hid underneath the refrigerator, I believe it was, and as her adopter tried to pull her out, in fear, she scratched him, and he did not want to deal with a cat that was going to scratch him, so he brought her back. So that's something that you really need to think about if you're taking Taz home. We want to make sure that she's not going to get brought back to us again. We want her next place to be her forever home. She's 4 years old. She doesn't need to be brought back to the shelter this many times. So she, again, is going to require that patient, loving, very understanding adopter. But once she gets comfortable, she's going to be the cat that you see in the cage, the one that loves to be petted, the one that has that playful side. It's just going to take her a while to warm up to that point. So giving her that room where she can hang out and feel safe, you can go visit her and get to know the real Taz, is going to be really important for her. Our next guest is one of my personal favorites. She is a big girl with an even bigger personality, and she is actually our longest resident that's been living in the shelter. Gwen arrived on June 28th, and she is still with us here mid-January. So she has been living in our kitty cabana for the most part, which is a great place for her because she was getting a little overstimulated in her cage, and now she has a lot of room to roam around. And as you can also see, she has a little bit of a weight problem, so she has more room to run around and exercise. Gwen, I call her a Sour Patch cat because sometimes she's super, super sweet, and sometimes she's a little sour. She is just a brown tabby. She has more of a cinnamony color to her, but she definitely has a little bit of tortitude without the tortoiseshell coloring. So when you catch Gwen on a good day where she's in a good mood, she loves to sit on laps and cuddle. She is, when you go into the kitty cabana, she's typically the first cat that's going to greet you. She runs right up to the door. She likes to rub all over your shoes and kind of take ownership of you. She wants everybody to know that you now belong to her. She likes to play. She likes to sit and look out windows. She likes to jump and move around. But she is also, even though she tolerates living with the other cats, she would probably do best as an only cat. She's kind of the alpha, and she kind of lets everyone else in the cabana know that she's the boss, and she rules, and when she wants to sit somewhere, they kind of get up and move out of the way. So when she's in a good mood, again, she wants to sit on your lap. She loves to be petted. But sometimes she's not in a great mood, and she's pretty good about letting you know that with her vocalization, with her body language. And she'll swat you away a little bit, but that's her way of explaining to you that she's not into what you're doing. So she would do best in a home that is very cat savvy and can understand the sassy side of her. But again, it's not that she's mean. She just has a big personality, and she's a bit of a diva. So if you're looking for a cat that has that big personality, then Gwen's going to be a great fit for you. Again, she has a lovely side to her as well, but she always isn't in the mood to be the cuddly cat that sometimes people want her to be. She is one of our longtime residents, and she's, because of that, we've put her on our January promo, so she would get $20 off for being part of that promotion in January. And she's also one of our diamonds in the rough, so Colonial Jewelers is going to sponsor $20 of her adoption fee as well. So she would go home for $40 off her normal adoption fee, making her $57.50 instead of that normal $97.50. The last guest that we have for you today is Ichabod, and he's another one of our longtime residents. He came to us the end of August, and he is also one of our cabana cats. He lives with Gwen, and again, you can see all kinds of stuff that they're doing on their Instagram at Cabana Cats. And he is a very shy guy as well. We've been talking about our shy cats today on the show. He loves his bed. His bed he is in right now. It's kind of his safe zone. Whenever he's feeling upset or nervous, he runs to his bed. He likes to curl up in there. He loves to be petted. He loves affection, but right now, when he's shy and in kind of the scary place that the shelter is, his need for affection is kind of based on whether or not he's in his bed. So if he's in his bed, he loves to get petted. He prefers really only to have his face and head scratched. He likes scratches under his chin, around his ears, petting the top of his head, even the bridge of his nose. But when you start to run your hand down his back, he's not really a fan of that. And he lets you know, he brings his paws up and grabs your hand and brings them up and kind of gives you a little nip, lets you know, hey, I don't like that. He also likes to hoard toys in his bed, so if you visit him and you look around, you'll see that he has all kinds of stuff in there. Ichabod doesn't so much play with the other cats in the cabana as he plays by himself. And he's getting more comfortable. He comes out and he roams around and he walks around, jumps up all over all the stuff that we have in there for them, plays with toys by himself, but when people come in, he will still kind of hang out, but he doesn't necessarily want people to touch him when he's out exploring right now. Again, he prefers to have his affection given to him when he's in his safe zone. Once he gets into a home environment where he feels comfortable, that might change a little bit. But right now, those are kind of the boundaries that he's set, and we work within those boundaries, and he's been incredibly affectionate, and he is well loved by many of our volunteers here. He just, again, like all the shy cats, requires a little bit more patience than maybe some of the others. He's a very sweet guy. He has a great personality. He just needs a little bit of a confidence boost. If you're interested in Ichabod or any of the cats and animals that you've seen on the show today, the first step is always coming into the shelter and seeing if they're actually what you're really looking for. Visiting with them, reading their profiles, getting to know them, and then you can fill out an application. It does take 2 to 5 days for all of those applications to be processed, and we always choose the best fit for the animal. It's not first come, first served. If you want to come in and check out what we have available, our location is again 1832 Rosemont Avenue, and we hope to see you soon. Thanks for watching. Tune in again next week where we introduce you to several more of our adoptable animals.